Imagine this. It's late. The world has quieted down to the soft hum of a fridge and the distant hushing of traffic. Your phone's face is a small square of light in a dim room. You're scrolling without really seeing, looking for something you can't name, when a simple drawing stops you. A boy and a mole sit on a branch. The line work is gentle, almost shy. It feels like a whisper in a world that too often shouts. You don't know why, but you linger. Maybe it's the boy's smallness beside the mole's round courage. Maybe it's the sense that both are trying to understand what it means to be alive without turning it into a test. Maybe it's because some part of you is tired of being brave alone. Have you ever felt that? Like you're holding your breath through the day, hoping no one notices the quiet storm inside your chest? There are moments when we don't need a lecture or a list. We need a hand, a kind voice, a reminder that the softest things in us are not weaknesses, but lifelines. Tonight, I want to sit with you the way those two sit on the branch. No pressure to perform, no need to impress. Just a conversation about what matters when the world is loud and your heart is tender. If you're ready, let's step into a story that doesn't demand that you become someone else to be worthy. A story that says the small acts of goodness, the gentle yes to yourself, and the decision to love anyway, those are the bravest things. Charlie Mackesy created a modern fable that feels like a warm lamp on a cold evening. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse is not a book that rushes you. It strolls beside you, offering company more than instruction. Four friends move through fields and storms in silence, and in their conversations, you hear the questions you carry. Am I enough? What if I fail? Is it okay to ask for help? Where do I belong? The author is a British artist whose ink and words feel as if they're drawn from breath itself, simple lines that hold unspoken depth. But we're not here just to admire the art. We're here to let its spirit rearrange something within us. I won't give you rules, I won't give you slogans. What I will offer is a long, gentle walk through the ideas that make this book feel like home. Kindness as strength, vulnerability as courage, friendship across difference, and the quiet power of staying present when storms roll in. My promise to you is transformation that doesn't require noise. By the time we finish, you'll have practical ways to treat yourself with the same tenderness you've so often reserved for others. You'll have small, doable steps that fit your real life without pretending you have unlimited time, energy, or confidence. You'll leave with questions to carry into your next morning and with the courage to take one small action today. Let's begin with something that can feel embarrassingly hard: asking for help. The boy in our story often wonders aloud, and the mole answers with a kind of honest cheerfulness. There is a humility to their exchange. It says we don't have to know everything to take the next step. In real life, however, we're trained to perform competence. We assume that strength looks like "I've got this," even when we don't. Why does this matter? Because pretending to be okay while you're drowning is a quiet way of disappearing. Asking for help is not a confession of failure, it's a declaration of belonging. When you say, "Could you sit with me?" or "Can you walk me through this?" you're saying, "I matter enough to be cared for, and you matter enough to be invited in." The barriers are real. Pride whispers that you'll lose respect. Fear imagines you'll be rejected. Shame says you should have figured it out already. But consider this: if a close friend called you, voice shaking, and asked for help, would you think less of them? Or would you feel honored by their trust? Try this in your own day. Step 1. Name your need in 12 words or fewer. Something like, "I'm overwhelmed and need help deciding the next step." Step 2. Choose one person and ask directly. Step 3, allow the awkwardness. Strength is not the absence of awkward, it's the willingness to keep going while it visits. Step 4, after you receive help, name what it gave you: clarity, company, a plan. So your brain learns that asking is paired with safety. And ask yourself, where in my life have I been performing strength when I could be practicing connection? Kindness is another thread that stitches this story together. Not a sugar-coated niceness that avoids truth, but a sturdy kindness that faces pain without turning away. The mole loves cake, and there's something disarming about it. It's not self-help dressed as a lecture, it's joy wearing crumbs. In your life, kindness is the decision to make room for your own humanity. It matters because harshness doesn't actually make us stronger. It makes us brittle. When you berate yourself for not being perfect, you're trying to motivate with fear. But fear is a poor coach. It can sprint, but it can't run a marathon. The barriers to kindness are hidden beliefs. If I go easy on myself, I'll become lazy. If I forgive myself, I'll repeat the mistake. If I accept myself, I'll never change. What if the opposite is true? What if acceptance creates a safe home base from which you can explore, fail, and try again? Here's a practical rhythm. First, when you notice a mistake, take one slow breath. Second, speak to yourself using the same tone you would use with a friend. Name the reality and the compassion. Yes, I missed the deadline. I'm disappointed, and I'm learning. Third, choose a single micro-action to repair or move forward. Send an apology. Ask for an extension. Schedule the work in smaller chunks. Fourth, celebrate the action, not the outcome. Your brain needs to feel the reward of kindness paired with responsibility. Let me ask, when was the last time you were kind to yourself without the caveat that you'd earn it later? Silence also has a voice in this story. The fox, quiet and cautious at first, becomes part of the circle not because he speaks the most, but because someone stayed near long enough to reach him. In life, we often assume that the loudest emotions should lead. Anxiety shouts, urgency demands, the inner critic narrates. But listening, true listening, changes the atmosphere. Presence says, I'm here with you, not to fix you, but to be with you. Why does this matter? Because your nervous system learns safety from safe attention. Many of us grew up solving problems either by over-explaining or by retreating. What if you tried something simpler? When someone you love is hurting, try this 4-step practice. Step 1, pause your impulse to advise. Step 2, reflect back what you hear in simple language. You seem scared about your job and you're not sure what to do next. Step 3, ask, do you want ideas or just company right now? Difference is not an obstacle, it's an invitation. A boy, a mole, a fox, and a horse do not naturally belong together. Yet they do, because belonging is not sameness, it's acceptance. In your world, difference shows up as opinion, culture, temperament, speed, strengths. The temptation is to gather only with people who mirror you. Why does this matter? Because if you build a life where only one kind of voice is welcome, you build a fragile life. You can't learn what you won't allow near you. Barriers to embracing difference include fear of conflict, fatigue from past misunderstandings, and the need to be right. But there's a way through. Begin by separating dignity from agreement. Grant dignity without requiring alignment. Practically, when a conversation turns tense, try this script. I respect you, and I'm trying to understand. What's the part you most wish I could see? Then repeat it back. If you're part of a team, list everyone's default strengths: doers, dreamers, detail carriers, bridge builders. And for 1 week, assign tasks to match strengths rather than titles. Notice who comes alive. Ask yourself, when I feel threatened by difference, what am I protecting? My identity, my comfort, or my control? And is there a gentler way to feel safe than by shrinking the world? Courage often looks like big gestures in movies. In this book, it looks like small steps in storms. There's a scene, no need to quote it, where the weather turns and the friends keep moving together. In your life, the storm might be a diagnosis, a breakup, a job loss, a season of nothing working. We imagine courage will arrive as a dramatic surge, but most days it arrives as a decision to do the next small right thing. Why does this matter? Because when you define courage as huge, you force yourself to wait for a feeling that may never come. When you redefine courage as tiny, honest steps, you reclaim your power. Barriers include the myth of perfect timing, the fear of doing it wrong, and the belief that you need to feel ready. Here's a sequence to break through. Name one smallest action that moves the story forward: sending the email, walking for 8 minutes, drinking the glass of water, opening the document. Pair it with a ritual soundtrack, a single song, a timer, a candle that signals begin. Do it for 2 minutes. Then ask, given what I learned, what's the next tiny step? Stack these like pebbles. Pebbles make paths. Question for you: what brave thing shrank into hiding because you were waiting for a louder version of courage? One of the gifts of the horse is wisdom, that is both gentle and firm. It holds strength without needing to prove it. Think about your relationship with power. Do you equate it with control, intensity, unyielding posture? Or can you imagine power as the ability to remain soft without collapsing? This matters because brittle strength breaks under pressure, while supple strength bends and returns. The barriers are old narratives. If I don't push, nothing happens. If I don't armor up, I get hurt. If I show softness, I'll be dismissed. What if you practiced embodied strength? Start with your breath. In tension, many of us raise our shoulders and forget to exhale. Try the 4-6 breath. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6. Do this 3 times before a hard conversation. Second, ground your body. Feel your feet on the floor. It sounds trivial, but it gives your nervous system a sense of place. Third, anchor your words in values rather than attacks. Instead of "you never listen," try "it matters to me to feel heard, and I want to understand you too." Fourth, close with a clear ask. Strength offers clarity. What is the small, specific thing you want to happen next? Ask yourself, how could I bring the horse's kind strength into one interaction today? Joy in this story is not an afterthought. The mole loves cake, and that simple delight keeps happening. It is not childish to love what you love. It is human. Why does joy matter? Because joy is not a reward for finishing your to-do list. Joy is fuel that helps you carry it. Many of us withhold joy from ourselves as a way of bargaining with the day. We say later, and later never comes. The barriers are guilt about resting, anxiety that pleasure leads to loss of control, and the cultural pressure to perform productivity. So make joy practical and small. Create a daily one soft thing ritual. It might be making tea in your favorite cup,
stepping outside for daylight on your face, listening to a single song with your full attention, or texting one person a grateful thought. Put it in your calendar like a meeting with your soul. Then practice savoring. When joy arrives, slow down. Name 3 details out loud: the warmth of the mug, the pattern of steam, the brief quiet as you sip. Your brain learns to notice what nourishes you. Consider this question. If I allowed myself one harmless pleasure every day, what might change about the way I move through the rest of my hours? There is a thread in the book that speaks to home, not a location, but a felt sense of belonging. Many people think home is something you find once and keep forever. In reality, home is something you build and rebuild through practices that center you. Why is this important? Because when life is uncertain, you need places inside you that don't vanish when plans do. Barriers include constant comparison, the hurry to arrive, and the pressure to curate a perfect life online. How do you build home within? Start with the small ritual to begin and end your day. Morning. Ask, what is the kindest possible way to move through today? Night. Ask, what small thing did I do well? Keep a proof of care list, a running note where you record tiny ways you cared for yourself or others across the day. It reframes your identity from someone always behind to someone already showing up. And create a 2-minute return home practice during stress. Pick a phrase that brings you back. Something like, I can be kind to me now. Repeat it slowly while breathing, then do one physical action. Wash your hands, drink water, step outside. That marks the transition from storm to shelter. Ask yourself, if home is the feeling of being safe to be myself, what builds that today? Perfectionism often shows up pretending to be responsibility. The boy worries about doing it right. Don't we all? Perfectionism promises safety through control, but delivers exhaustion and isolation. Why does this matter? Because the energy you spend defending an image is energy you don't have for living the truth. Barriers include the belief that mistakes define your worth, the fear that letting go means lowering standards, and the habit of tying love to performance. You can rewire this. Choose one area this week to bring from perfect to present. If you over-edit emails, set a 5-minute timer and send them when it rings. If you avoid the gym because you can't do a full workout, allow 10 minutes. If you won't start a project until everything is organized, begin with one messy page. Then practice compassionate review. After you complete a task, ask what worked, what I learned, what's next, not what's wrong with me. You'll be surprised how much your life grows when you let things be good enough and keep moving. What would become possible if you treated progress like a friend and perfection like a politely declining acquaintance? Another dimension of this story is how tenderness intersects with fear. The fox, once trapped, carries history in his body. Many of us do. Fear is not only a thought, it is a sensation, a tightening, a narrowing of attention. If you try to argue with fear using logic alone, you often make it bigger. Instead, meet fear as a character in your story who wants to protect you but doesn't always know how. Here is a practice. When fear rises, name it specifically. Fear of disappointing my team, fear of being visible, fear of losing what I love. Place your hand where you feel it most. Say, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe." Then ask, "What is the smallest safe experiment I can run?" If you fear speaking up in a meeting, start with one well-prepared sentence and share it early. If you fear starting a conversation with someone you admire, send a 3-line message with one genuine appreciation and one simple question. If you fear rest, set a 7-minute break and come back. This approach respects your fear without obeying it. What if fear is a weather pattern you learn to read and walk through, not a verdict about who you are? Let's talk about friendship, the kind that brings you soup when you're sick and calls you out when you hide. The quartet in the story becomes a circle where each offers what they have. The mole brings playfulness, the fox brings loyalty, the horse brings wisdom, the boy brings curiosity. In your life, consider what you bring and what you need. Friendship matters because isolation distorts reality. When you're alone with your thoughts too long, they turn into mirrors that lie. Barriers to friendship include busyness, old betrayals, and the fear of being a burden. Start small. Choose one person and send a voice note instead of a text. Share a true sentence about your day, a moment you were proud of, a moment you felt small. Invite a short walk, a coffee, a quick call. Set expectations clearly. I have 20 minutes and would love to hear how you are. Then practice asking beautiful questions. What felt most alive for you this week? What's one place you want more support? What's something small you're looking forward to? Friendship deepens when we ask and listen, not when we perform and impress. Which 3 people could you nurture gently this month? And what would be the simplest way to begin? There is also the work of forgiveness. The story spirit suggests that love keeps opening doors even to those parts of ourselves and others that feel difficult. Forgiveness is not pretending harm didn't happen. It is choosing not to be perpetually defined by it. Why does this matter? Because resentment uses your energy and gives you nothing back. The barriers are legitimate. Fear of minimizing pain, worry that forgiving equals reconciling, and the pull of righteous anger. Here is a gentle path. Start with self-forgiveness for small things. Write a note to yourself about one regret. Acknowledge the impact, own your part, state what you would do differently, and bless your next attempt. For others, try a boundary plus blessing approach. You can say, "I'm not ready to reconnect. I am ready to release this weight." Do a symbolic act. Write it on paper and tear it, or place a stone in water and mark the decision physically. Work with a counselor or trusted friend if the hurt is deep. Ask yourself, what do I want to become free for, not just free from? Hope in the book doesn't arrive as fireworks. It arrives as companionship that keeps pace with you. Hope is not optimism that denies pain. It is a decision to believe that something good can be built with what remains. Why does this matter? Because without hope, we either rush anxiously or we stop moving. Barriers include cynicism disguised as intelligence, fatigue, and the habit of forecasting failure. Try planting hope in the way a gardener plants seeds, small, specific, seasonal. Write a list called Evidence of Good. Add 3 items a day, no matter how minor. A stranger held the door. I kept my promise to myself. The sky unfurled after the rain. Create a future-neutral plan. Outline actions you'll take regardless of mood. Send 2 applications, practice piano for 15 minutes, tidy for 5. Let hope be a practice long before it becomes a feeling. Ask, if I believed growth was still possible, How would I behave for the next hour?
One more thread, the way the story redefines success, not as status or applause, but as the integrity of living close to what you value. Success becomes the quiet alignment of actions and heart. That matters because the culture is loud about what you should chase, and none of it knows your soul. The barriers are fear of missing out, the addictive hit of external praise, and the drift that happens when we stop asking why. Counter this with the weekly values review. Choose 3 values for the season, perhaps kindness, learning, and presence. Every Friday, ask how did I live them? Where did I drift? How can I realign next week with one small commitment? Then build value alarms, triggers that remind you. For kindness, when I feel defensive, I will soften my face and ask one curious question. For learning, after any mistake, I will write a 2-sentence lesson. For presence, during meals, I will put my phone away. None of this is grand. All of it is real. Question for you. If success looked like your values in motion, what would change tomorrow morning? Now, let's weave these threads into a personal moment. A while back, I was sitting in my car outside a grocery store, hands on the wheel, unable to go in. There wasn't a reason that would make sense on paper. It was just a day when the world felt heavy and I was tired of carrying it with my jaw clenched. Maybe you know those days. I remembered a small drawing of a boy asking a question and a gentle answer that didn't fix everything, but made it easier to breathe. So I practiced what we've been talking about. I named what I needed. I need 5 minutes to be human. I asked for help, not from a person this time, but from the kindness I've been learning to offer myself. I set a timer and did nothing but breathe with my hand on my chest. Then I texted a friend a simple line. I'm at the store and it's weirdly hard today. She replied with a voice note that made me laugh. That laugh was a bridge. I walked across, grabbed the basket, and bought dinner. It wasn't heroic. It was enough. I want to challenge you to do one small brave thing today. Ask for help where you usually hide. Replace one cruel sentence you say to yourself with a gentler one. Take a 2-minute presence break. Invite a friend into your ordinary moment. It will feel small. It is not small. It is you choosing to believe that tenderness can lead you forward. Choose one action before this video ends. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Then do it within the next hour. As we close, remember this. You do not have to become someone else to deserve love. You do not have to fix your whole life tonight. You are allowed to be both a work in progress and worthy of care. The boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse teach us that courage often whispers, that friendship doesn't require sameness, that asking for help is an act of belonging, that joy is daily bread, not a dessert earned only by the perfect, and that home is built wherever kindness is practiced. Let this be your takeaway line, the one you tuck into your pocket for later. Be gentle and keep going, together when you can. If you forget everything else, remember that. Be gentle, keep going, together when you can. If this resonates, carry one question into your next decision. What would kindness do right now? Then do that, quietly, faithfully, and again tomorrow. Your life won't suddenly become easy, but it will become more yours. And that, in a noisy world, is a kind of miracle.